Hi, this is Jeff D., the host of the Nonprofits Atheist Podcast. The Nonprofits is made possible by volunteers and the generous support of listeners like you. If the promotion of positive atheist culture and the separation of church and state are values you hold dear, please consider contributing by becoming an ACA member or visiting our product page at evolvefish.com under the Partner tab. Thank you.
Upstairs left us years ago, so there ain't no fate except the one you make, and there ain't no hell except the shit you take every day. So don't tell me life doesn't hurt, and that you don't need the people cause you've got your church. You gotta take your head out of the sky, because there ain't nothing there but the satellites.
And we are the Nonprofits. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for Denis Loubet, Russell Glasser, and Jeff D. to broadcast live from the Austin Free Thought Library on the 5th of July, 2017, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the broadcast. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed with certain unalienable rights, that this show is sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a non-profit educational organization for the promotion of positive atheism and the separation of church and state, that in the interests of further knowledge, one may call their voicemail at 512-220-6561 or visit their website at www.atheist-community.org. Prudence indeed will dictate that the Nonprofits broadcast live every first and third Wednesday of each month from 7:30 to 9 Central Time, and to these ends it is the right of the people to join the chat room by following the directions at www.nonprofitsradio.com. Therefore, it is resolved that we, the Nonprofits, solemnly publish and declare that the people of the world are, and of right, ought to be free and independent thinkers, and that they are absolved from allegiance to the many religions that plague us, and that all moral connection between them and the people of the world is, and ought to be, totally dissolved, and that as free and independent people they have the full power to assign meaning, determine right from wrong, and do all other acts and things which independent people may of right do.
That's
beautiful.
It's very it's almost as if those kinds of words were written by people who were trying really hard to justify something they were doing.
What inspired you to write such flowery prose, Dennis?
Well, if I could get NPR to publish this, it would be great. Maybe they ought to tweet it.
Maybe they ought to. I've got that story here if you want it.
That was the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
Liberally transposed into our opening sequence.
Adjusted.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you guys have a good 4th?
No.
Yes.
Oh.
No, I'm grumpy today.
Yeah? Why are you grumpy?
Oh, many reasons. Which may come up as over the course of the show, but I'm not going to just dump them all on you right now. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Fine.
Well,
I have good news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know how they say no news is good news?
Oh.
I have good news.
Yeah? You have...
Because I have no news.
No news.
Yeah.
All right. It's Russell's time to shine.
Among various things that are annoying me today is my my email ability to receive emails crapped out on me today. And in the past, that's always been turned out to be due to Norton. It just installed on my machine that decides that that my email is not to be trusted. So in the past, on multiple occasions, that I've lost the ability to receive emails, and it's turned out to be Norton, and I just temporarily disable it, and I get my mail, and then it runs fine for a while until next time. Well, this time that didn't solve the problem, and I didn't have enough time to fix it. So
God damn it, Norton.
I'll figure it out.
Norton?
Norton!
Straight to the moon.
Straight to the moon, Norton.
That joke is old enough that I only got it secondhand from like other comedians who grew up with it.
I watched it on TV.
Also, he never ever said that to Norton. He said
No,
it to
he said it to
his wife. So it's
yeah, that was not a
kind of a deeply inappropriate.
Alice.
For you millennials in the audience, we were talking about the honeymooners.
She knew. Wow,
Jackie
millennials.
Gleason.
I don't think it was old when the millennials were young.
It was old when I was young.
I watched it.
Are you a millennial?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, I've heard of it. And
You're
probably
a pre-millennial,
maybe.
aren't you?
If you watch Back to the Future, which was also old when millennials were young, I think Lorraine McFly's family is watching the honeymooners when he arrives.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised.
Or Lorraine Baines, because she's not married yet. I'm a nerd.
I watched it on black and white TV.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that we have no news today. But on the other hand, I don't think we really received very many. I have a general sense of how many it was, and it wasn't very many. So we'll muddle through. Mm-hmm. We'll muddle through, and then that, what this will mean is next time we'll have a lot. So
we will, yes.
Won't we, folks?
Yeah.
All right. So what's in the news?
Well, I mean, although before I get to the news, I'm just going to mention that if you are listening live on our YouTube channel, which you should, because
and I just realized I should clarify. When I say I have no news, I mean I have no listener mail.
Yes,
yes.
I am the only one who ever has news.
Everybody understands that what Jeff brings to the table is the listener mail, which is why email is relevant. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, for those of you who weren't aware we have a YouTube channel, you ought to like and subscribe so that you will never miss a live show. Sometimes we have video with the show, but right now, as often is the case, we just have a static background. But you can listen to us that way, among many other ways. And also, the Atheist Community of Austin is a nonprofit organization, and there's now a handy donate button right there on our YouTube channel. So,
very nice. Are we with it enough to always link to the latest YouTube video in our fan group on Facebook?
I'll have to defer that question to our engineers, Mark and Vern.
That's a thing we might want to consider doing.
It is a thing we might want to, and you can feel free to do that yourself.
Obviously, long-time dedicated listeners will be smart enough to go ahead and just subscribe.
Yeah.
On YouTube and get them that way, but we pick up listeners all the time.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm told by Mark that coming soon to the Facebook channel, we will possibly be able to restream the show live directly from Facebook, and it will alert people who like that page. So there's all kinds of ways.
It's the future. It's amazing what we can do now.
Yeah.
I was just watching a news story about a guy with a cybernetic eye that he used, that records video. As far as I can tell, it doesn't actually allow him to see. It's just like his empty eye socket is a complete convenient place to put a little eyeball-shaped camera.
Are you sure you weren't watching Black Mirror?
I'm pretty sure this is an actual thing.
Whoa, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and he's got like this like infrared little thing that he aims at his eye to like turn it on and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. It's early days, but eventually we're gonna have all kinds of the cool spacey things that we recall from TV.
Yeah.
Babbling. Go ahead. How about some actual news about things?
Well, I mean, since you brought up the Declaration of Independence, I'll just mention that as National Public Radio has for, let's see, I guess for 29 years on the air, they've been reading out the Declaration of Independence. This story in the Washington Post makes it sound like they've been live tweeting the Declaration of Independence for 29 years, which would be ridiculous because
that'd be a long document.
Twitter is not that old. But as a matter of fact, they did tweet out the Declaration of Independence line by line in 113 posts of under 140 characters each. And some alt-right people assumed that they were promoting some kind of sedition just for tweeting the Declaration of Independence.
How many is some? I mean, is this? You can find idiots in any group who will do a stupid thing,
right?
I mean, did this really become a deal?
A major deal? I don't know. It became a major enough deal that the Washington Post, or as our president would call it, I guess, the failing Washington Post, thought it worth mentioning.
Well, yeah.
I don't know, but
what's
the
religion angle?
Some of the responsive tweets were like NPR tweeted in Congress, July 4th, 1776, and then somebody tweeted back, "This is why you're going to get defunded." And later they posted, "It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, comma, and in sequence." And somebody else said, "So, NPR is calling for revolution. Interesting way to condone the violence while trying to sound patriotic. Your implications are clear." So that was a thing that happened.
They got what the founding fathers were trying to say with the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, they interpreted it correctly, I guess.
All those big flowery, pre-revolutionary words.
Yeah.
Right.
Did not go over their heads, so good for them.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that conversations back in the day had to be really slow because people had to sit there and ponder what they were going to say, plan it out, and then utter it in this long string of elaborate wordage.
Yeah.
We could go back to
Really?
that.
I think they have that. This is a fine opportunity for me to again go completely off topic and say I am watching the TV series called Turn, which is it's about spying during the American Revolution.
Okay.
It's in its third season. It's got the dumbest name of any TV show ever. Turn. Like that totally tells you
mean anything.
It's a Revolutionary War spy show, right? and it's got the worst opening theme song of any TV show I have ever seen ever.
Wow.
And yet the show itself is quite excellent.
Oh,
and has gotten superb in season 3, in my opinion.
All right. Well, cool.
I happen to be watching it on Netflix, which means I don't know. That might mean that I'm watching it a year old now.
Don't know.
The third season is great.
Huh.
Okay, there.
All right.
Since we're in the Revolutionary War, and they do a lot of that, there's bits, there's characters who are more flowery in their language and stuff, and it's good.
Sure.
Right. That isn't one of the greatest things about it, but it's got that authenticism kind of feel to it.
Good.
Oh, well, I don't know if
I'm going to have to try it.
I don't know if
At
this
least
is
listen to the starting credits.
I don't know if this is more or
if
less.
you can. Luckily, Netflix allows you to just click past the opening credits. I strongly recommend that you do that.
Yeah.
Though in the opening credits, there's kind of like an animated thingy that goes on beneath the music, and they show things like one of those hand cranked submersible deals.
Yeah.
That has not yet featured in the show. It's sort of promises that we're going to get like retro high tech spy gear, right? You're expecting like a Revolutionary War era James Bond, and that's totally not what it is. It's more like, here's our main character and then head spy back on his farm, like, feeding the pigs, waiting for his next mission. but the fact that it's actually that is what's kind of what's cool about it. All right, I have way babbled too long now, but I got time to fill because I didn't.
Yeah,
because
because you got no mail. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is more or less educational, but as long as we're mentioning TV shows, Linnea and I are watching the new Netflix series Glow, which is pretty funny.
Is it?
Haven't.
I've been wanting to
Heard
check
of
that
that?
out.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It is actually, I've looked this up, based on a real historical show that they tried to run on in the 80s about lady wrestlers.
Wow.
But they're
Okay.
a bunch of 12th tier actresses who are just sort of stumbling around trying to pretend they know how to wrestle. And I don't know, podcast political veteran Mark Maron is playing kind of a sleazy douchebag producer, which is hilarious.
Wow.
And so different from his real life persona.
Have you listened to him?
And I mean that in the in the most positive, loving kind of way.
Yeah, right.
All right. Cool.
Funny stuff.
I've got some news.
You do?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
All right. Well,
read it.
Another scandal has rocked Vatican City as a drug-fueled gay orgy hosted by the secretary of an important cardinal was broken up by police. Italian media reports the apartment, which belonged to the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, was raided last month during a party, and police found a number of men were under the influence of drugs. The apartment where the lewd evening took place was once home to former Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who later was elected Pope.
Wait. Ratzinger was the guy? Or
no,
it's just where he lived?
He
Just where he
previously lived
lived
there, Russell. Dennis, where's this news coming from?
Yeah.
Well, this
If I might-
one
if I might
is
ask.
news.com.au, Australian
Okay.
news service.
Okay.
And let's see. According to Il Fatto Guadagno, the apartment now belongs to the secretary of Cardinal Francesco, Cook Palmerio, who was sent to detox in secrecy following the raucous party. The secretary belonged to the Congregation of the Doctrine, a department within the Vatican City that deals with clerical sex abuse.
So he was there in an official capacity, is what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of. Reports Palmerio is an advisor to Pope Francis and was recommended for a promotion to bishop, but the allegations may hinder Palmerio's chances of getting the title.
That was
Yeah.
Palmeria.
Palmerio.
And I just want to point out it was not cocaine, the Palmeria. It also was. It was not. It was not.
What do
they call it?
Stop.
The thing. What?
Sorry.
I'm not even sure what voice I'm doing right now.
That was freaking music.
Some just generic. Doing some generic Italian guy. Father Guido Sarducci, maybe. So, okay.
Yeah.
So there was a party.
Big party.
And we've named one Vatican guy
Yeah.
who was there.
Yeah.
Have we named
his
him?
apartment?
No, it's the apartment of the secretary. Apparently,
That's-
what I got from
That's
that guy.
the guy that was there. Was there another guy who was there? I'm on this let's try to be fair kick. so can we establish
Let's not.
exactly how many Vatican officials were hopped up on drugs and doing gay sex stuff?
The drugs.
And then we'll need to take a moment to say, what the fuck is going on with, if people want to have gay sex and they're getting
Yeah,
raided?
that's no problem.
Is this the Vatican City itself doing the raid?
I think it's Vatican police.
So Vatican police is the Vatican police is catching people that are having gay sex. And isn't that worth a comment? Because how was that any of their fucking business?
Let's see.
So you're saying the Vatican is a theocracy of some kind?
yes, actually.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I would like to register a mild complaint.
All right, go ahead.
It seems like a lot when we read the news. You jump in before the story is over and ask for details that either haven't been read yet or may not be in the story.
Is that what I have done in this case?
No.
It just seems possibly that way. To me,
all right.
subjectively.
It didn't have all the information I would have hoped.
Okay.
Let's see.
Right.
Vatican
So we
police
don't
raided
know.
a drug-fueled gay sex party at a top priest's apartment near the city, according to an Italian newspaper
So
report.
it's at a top priest's apartment.
In an Italian newspaper report. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So,
The apartment's occupant,
Yeah.
who was not named by police, serves as a secretary to Cardinal Francesco
all right.
Cocopalmerio, a personal advisor to Pope Francis.
Okay.
The apartment belongs to the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith,
Yeah.
a branch that reviews appeals from clergy found guilty of sexual abuse of minors,
Right.
according to Italian Daily.
Which is some irony.
Police raided the
always fun.
apartment in June after neighbors complained of unusual behavior among frequent nighttime visitors.
Unusual behavior.
Yes.
Unusual.
It doesn't say what the behavior was. Police arrested the priest and hospitalized him to detox him from the drugs he had ingested, according to the newspaper. He was taken in for questioning, presumably on drug charges, as gay sex is legal in Vatican City.
Well, good. That's very progressive.
And then that is an important point to
That is an important
establish.
point.
Okay. So they were raided because it was a raucous party, not because
He's currently in retreat.
Neighbors
at a-
complained about the noise in the cloisters downstairs.
He's currently in retreat at a convent in Italy, according to the report.
oh
aid
yes,
was
yes, like that kind of noise.
Yeah.
Okay, which is legal in Vatican City, as well it should be. All right, so they whisked him off to some secret
Coco
location,
Palmerio's
which is what they
aid
do.
Was reportedly under consideration for a promotion to bishop. But, yeah.
And now he's got that locked up.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating.
Latest scandal to rock the Vatican. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So Vatican police.
Of
course,
yeah,
they're,
yeah, but
they're
they're not
their own country.
Yeah, but they're apparently not. There was apparently not a
They don't like the
enforcing-
drugs.
They're not enforcing laws against gay sex,
Right.
Because they don't have them, but that's fine. All right. I guess get back to us when there's something there. I mean, what is the core thing that we're interested in with this story? Just that there was there was a raid in the Vatican City. I don't mind that there was gay sex. I guess I mind that there was drugs.
How about the
We don't-
giant
we don't
heaping
know.
dollop of hypocrisy? How
well,
about that?
I mean, there's
yeah,
that,
but
and
it
the
would
fact
be-
that it's essentially funded by all the donations that go to the Catholic
Yeah,
Church,
sure.
and that
Uh-huh.
those people would be upset.
I
about
think
that.
they rightly would be upset. Yeah.
Sure, but we got the name of one guy, and it's hard to pin it, the actions of one guy on an entire organization.
Okay, people,
So-
nothing happened. Nothing here happened. It's all right.
Am I over the line with my attempting to be reasonable?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I am in a weird mood.
Right. Couple of weeks ago,
It's certainly a kind of a freak show, and
It is.
worthy
It
of
is.
some attention on that. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Russell, go ahead.
a couple of weeks ago in our last show, I mentioned that it's time to start keeping an eye on our friend Jay Sekulow again. He is a longtime lawyer of the American Center for Law and Justice,
Yeah.
the ACLU's evil doppelganger.
It's like the ACLU, but with one
Missing
pen
line,
stroke of the
yes.
U missing, making it a J.
Right, and that inverts the whole thing completely. And Sekulow is now I guess, primary legal counsel to Donald Trump. As people do when somebody receives a high political profile all of a sudden, there has been some renewed interest in his general activities. And because I had a Google alert set on Jay Sekulow, and because and many listeners also picked up on that and alerted me to this story, thank you. Yeah. Trump lawyers' firm steered millions in donations to his family members, files show. Documents obtained by The Guardian, this is the UK Guardian, revealed Jay Sekulow approved plans to push people to give to his Christian nonprofit, which then paid big sums to his family.
Yeah. Wasn't this the news that you did last time, though?
No.
Really?
The last time I just mentioned that he was appointed Trump's counsel. Let me see. I mentioned this on the 27th, which was the week after the previous show. I tweeted it myself when I caught wind of it.
Huh. Okay.
Jay Sekulow, let's see, more than 15,000 Americans were losing jobs each day in June 2009. The U.S. struggled to climb out of a painful recession, but Jay Sekulow, who is now an attorney to Donald Trump, had a private jet to finance, and so his law firm was expecting a $3 million payday, and six-figure contracts for members of his family needed to be taken care of. Documents obtained by The Guardian show Sekulow that month approved plans to push poor and jobless people to donate money to his Christian nonprofit, which since 2000 has steered more than $60 million to Sekulow, his family, and their businesses. Nothing more Christian than good old-fashioned grift.
Boy, I wish I could get 60 million on my Patreon. That would be something.
Telemarketers for the nonprofit Christian Advocates Serving Evangelism, or CASE for short, were instructed in contracts signed by Sekulow to urge people who pleaded poverty or said they were out of work to dig deep for a sacrificial gift.
God.
And if anyone's ever worked phone sales before, I mean, you've seen this kind of thing. There's basically a script that they have where there's a list of possible objections that people could have, and then a rote answer to recite if you are representing this company and you're trying to respond to one of these objections. So, for example,
I don't have the money.
Okay, I have no money. I'm sorry. I didn't know that, Mr. So-and-so. I can certainly understand how being unemployed or having limited funds, as the case may be, would make it extremely difficult to help with a gift right now, and we don't ever want to put you in a financial bind. Could you possibly make a small sacrificial gift of even $20 within the next 3 weeks? I understand.
Yeah.
It's the script. Got any others?
So he's a scumbag.
I want to see how good this script is.
I hate this guy, and I think he's a scumbag. No, I'm not giving him any money.
I certainly understand that. I'm kind of best fit in here.
Really, they have a response for I think he's a scumbag?
No, it's I don't like phone calls, but this is as close as we get to a straight up negative response.
Yeah.
However, these issues are so important that we hoped you would be able to help us today. Let me ask you this. Can we continue to call you in the future to update you on important projects, or would you like us to put you on your our do not call list?
Yeah, put me on your do not call list.
Thank
and
you
while
for
you're
your
at
time,
it, put
Mr.
everybody
So-and-so.
on your do not call list.
That would apparently work.
How about that?
Thank you for your time, Click.
Right.
All right.
I'm not a big
Congratulations.
fan of being in real life. I'm not a big fan of being. I don't like people coming to my door to sell me shit. I don't like people calling me to sell me shit.
I mean, I figure
it's bad enough that I have to see your freaking advertisements, and I totally understand. As a guy who sometimes has to advertise to get my own stuff supported, right? Marketing is it's a thing that will drain your humanity.
it's an uncomfortable, weird thing for sure.
You're forced to do it, and I've been on the receiving end, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Which seems like a great time, particularly given the opening that Dennis.
I'm gonna just wrap this story up.
Oh, all right.
yeah,
There's
go
more.
ahead.
Okay.
There is a lot more, but long story short, this organization sort of used aggressive phone sales tactics and pestered
Right.
people, and especially if they had given money recently, they pestered them to turn it into a monthly donation, and then of course it was funneled into $60 million in personal profit towards Jay Sekulow. So in other words, he's a perfect fit for his new job,
Yeah.
if I may say so.
And now my perfect opening is a bit
I'm sorry.
gone. But it was your segment. You get to finish your show.
You're the one
Dennis-
who didn't bring email.
Dennis Yes, I am. I am that man.
Yeah.
I didn't bring the email.
Be that man.
Dennis gave me a perfect opening by mentioning that
Oh.
he's got a Patreon account. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody out there knows, right? Dennis is an artist, and if you go to patreon.com and type in what?
Dennis Loubet.
Just Dennis
Yeah.
Loubet, your name.
Yeah.
You could support Dennis in his work as an artist by becoming a patron for as little as how much?
$1
$1. How often?
every month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they'd get what?
They'd get pretty much all the art I produce.
Huh. And will this go to fund your private jet?
Gosh,
It would take a lot of people.
it would
doing
take
that.
a lot of people to have me
Suppose
afford a
you had
private
an-
jet.
Suppose you had an entire religion behind you, and all of them were giving you $1 a month. You could probably get a jet then. Right?
think
I could
you
probably get a
yeah.
jet, but I don't think I'd want one.
Well,
You're not thinking big enough.
I'm
The
not
Lord
thinking
will
big enough.
provide.
but you're
Oh,
actually
man.
these people would pay their dollar when what
At
happened?
the end of every month.
No, but I mean,
what do you
suppose you didn't make any art for a month.
Oh, then they wouldn't
paid-
have to pay anything.
So it's only
Yeah.
only if you make a thing,
Right.
So there's
And then-
there's actually a payoff,
Yeah.
unlike what Jay Sekulow does.
Right.
And what's fascinating about this is I now also have a Patreon,
Dun, dun, dun.
and I'm also an artist, and you can do the same thing. Mine is Art of Jeff D, all one word, on Patreon.
Right.
If there's anybody out there who wants to support us in our careers,
In our
Russell,
endeavors.
there's no way for an independent person to just get to help support you in your career. Is
I
there?
do not have a Patreon.
You totally. I think we need to start browbeating you into having one.
What I don't produce anything for people. I
There
mean,
are people
except for
like
this
our
wonderful
good,
show.
Our good friend Matt Dillahunty.
Right.
Is he on Patreon?
Yes,
that what
he
it
is.
Yeah.
And
on
he
Patreon.
he records
Boy,
videos
is he
and things.
ever on Patreon.
Yeah, and he's doing very well.
He's
with it.
doing very well.
However, if you are local to Austin and you'd like to do something that I would appreciate, there's an organization called Austin Oasis, which are friends of mine, and I'm doing a talk for them this Sunday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
On fake news specifically.
Cool.
Really?
So if you look up their website or their Facebook page, I think you can find the details there. But then after that, I'm going to hustle over to the Austin History Center at 12:30, where Noelle George, who is, well, it's our regular ACA monthly lecture. And Noelle George is the, I think, director of the Foundation Beyond Belief, which does a lot of great
okay.
work. And she's going to be giving a talk, and then we're going to be
Great.
doing a show together. So tune in
Awesome.
to the Atheist Experience on Sunday.
Yeah, you didn't explain how people can give you money for that.
No, they can't give me money. I'm fine. Play Hearthstone. I'm sorry. I don't mix this show and my job.
You did.
Much.
Did just then.
I sure did. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people making money for doing
No.
things. But the thing about Christian legal fundraisers have long been just cash cows for
Fearmonger.
the purpose. Yeah, you scare people into, well, on the one hand, you scare them about an issue, and then you claim that your legal firm is going to do something about it, right? Like,
Right.
we're going to get evolution back in the public schools.
Oh,
right?
yeah. They've been
Or
doing
we're
that for
gonna-
years.
We're going to rescind
Mm-hmm.
gay marriage or, blah, 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 blah. And then they fail.
Yeah.
And it's just an infinite engine for generating money for not having actually accomplished anything.
Yep.
And that's
Although-
that's wrong.
I'm glad they don't accomplish anything.
Oh, certainly, certainly.
But I mean, what they do on top of this,
they
and
wouldn't want to.
also
suppose
the
you're
money-
a guy.
wait,
suppose you're a guy. This is what you always have to look at, right? Suppose you're a guy whose income depends on fighting the teaching of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the last thing you want to do? The last thing you want to do is beat
evolution.
because your
Then you're-
income is dependent on.
Oh, I don't think that's true. I think there are plenty of other ins within creationism, like, we've gained some small victories. You can help us keep up the momentum. Or, but there's always going to be some. There is going to be something else.
You want the illusion of progress,
Yeah.
but you don't actually want to knock down all these big issues. because
There's no way
the
they're
big
going to knock
issues-
them all down. They're going to knock down some of them, and then they're going to get worked up over something else. It's a never-ending supply.
Now I think you're
Yeah.
the one who's going overboard, trying to be reasonable about this, Russell. I mean, there's not that many big issues. There are a lot of local little battles, but the big issues are, gay marriage, and evolution, and there's just a few. And if they could get final victories in those things, those would be things they couldn't.
Well, do you think they would stand
keep
around
raising money on.
stunned if they got that?
No, I don't think they'd stand around stunned. I think they. It's a great niche to be in, where the thing you're fighting for is a violation of the Constitution. So there's an established set of body of law which says you can't win this, but what you can do is you can whoop people into a frenzy thinking you should win it,
Yeah.
and then you can fight it and collect money from them to do the fighting forever.
The only thing I have problem with is, which is weird, is thinking that they are quite that cynical. But
Wow.
then
Did
I
you
go,
hear what
maybe,
Russell
maybe,
just-
maybe,
Did
yeah.
you hear what
maybe
Russell
they
just read
are
you about
exactly
this Jay
that
Sekulow
cynical.
asshole? I mean,
yeah, they're cynical.
They're absolutely in it for the money.
But I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think if they could defeat one of these major issues or make a lot of movement on it, they'd be happy with that for one reason. And if they don't, they'll be happy taking in the money too.
Here is me being as reasonable as I can possibly be about this, right? Like, I like to play role-playing games.
Yeah.
And so I also am kind of in the business of trying to support myself by making these things,
Yeah.
right? It's natural to try to make money
Sure.
on the thing that you like.
You produce
right?
a thing, yeah.
If you've ever been to like a Society for Creative Anachronism event, right?
Sure.
Or the various medieval themed places you could go, right? Those are full of people who have a hobby or an interest that they're into, and they're trying to make money on it. I mean, to the point where my saddest memory from a Renaissance fair is seeing this guy in a cool suit of plate armor, like clomping down the path toward me, going, "Wow, that's just like I'm in the Middle Ages. Here comes this knight," and he walks up to me and tries to sell me the plate armor off of his back. I kid you not, I had that experience. So, okay, yeah, it could be these are just people who are into the Christian thing and looking for ways at making money. But, there's one way to make money on the Christian thing is I'll sell you a little kit for making pendants that say, WWJD on them, and I'll sell them to craft stores, which you find, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's like there's a market, and you're making a product. And as crappy and stupid as it is, right? There's people who actually get
market.
something for their money.
Yeah.
Right? But then there's ways to just get money without actually producing a product. And the actual product of guys who are suing to try to end gay marriage or get evolution in schools and stuff, right? The product is actually succeeding at those things, and they're not. So what do they?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's something just fundamentally dishonest about that. I mean, these guys ought to.
Sure.
Isn't it obvious that these are like unconstitutional things they're trying to do?
Yes.
Yes.
But that
and these
doesn't-
are lawyers.
That
So
doesn't
they know
mean that they aren't don't actually want the outcome they're claiming. They're just being a little over optimistic, a lot over optimistic when they sell their chances of
And
success.
how convenient is that?
both ways they win.
If I'm over optimistic about this thing, I can justify having people give me money.
Yeah, I'm not saying you are wrong about them being cynical
I'm
about it.
I'm trying to cut them some slack.
Yeah.
I don't know if it sounds like that, but all right. So
Right.
Yeah, we can
You're
let that one
saying
go.
they're more sleazy than they are dumb.
I
And
think
that's
I think
that's
there's a
the,
level. There's a
giving
level
them
on
credit.
which there have got to be people there who know this thing we are raising money to do is a thing we cannot actually do,
Yeah.
and that I would call that fraud.
Yeah, but I mean, I would also say that the people who give them money aren't the only marks in the situation because, you know, for years and years, how have they been drumming up money and what court cases have they been drumming up money for? They will convince this small-time school district which probably has a bunch of rubes who are not really aware of the legal history behind this, that they should flagrantly violate the Constitution and stand up for Christianity.
Yeah.
And what happens is, someone will justifiably come along, like the
Right.
ACLU will
Someone
sue
will
the school district
Yeah.
and say, stop
contest
doing
it.
that.
Yeah.
And that costs taxpayers even who weren't the ones that were directly funding them
Right.
because the money that goes to
right.
the lawyers.
And who makes the money on that? Now, obviously,
Right.
lawyers on both sides make money for that. But the ACLU is not going around creating these issues.
Of course.
They are the necessary element, yes, to stop violations of Constitution. They have to do that, or else the Constitution doesn't mean shit.
Right.
It's these other guys who are creating these issues and encouraging local school districts and stuff to violate the Constitution, and then raking in money when they get those people to violate the Constitution.
Absolutely.
I really think done beating that one to death.
Yeah.
Dennis,
Yeah.
do you have a question?
Oh. Yeah, I do. I have a question.
Ask.
I will.
question.
Show me what you got.
I like what you got.
Who judges the dead in Christianity?
Who judges the dead?
Yeah. Who judges where you go?
Isn't it God?
I don't know.
I don't know the
Where
fan
does the
fiction
big
story.
Where does the big
Doesn't-
pearly gate come in?
Doesn't the Bible say something about Jesus ascended to heaven, where he sits at the right hand of God and judges the dead?
So it's Jesus?
Just off the top of my head, that's what I seem to recall. Yeah.
You sound like you object to that somehow.
Well,
Is your question that you don't know who it is and that's mysterious, or is your question that you
There
think
are
you do
some
know who it is,
logistical
but
problems.
there seems to be a problem with that?
well, no. It's basically don't know who exactly.
I've got an answer.
Where does St. Peter fit into it? I mean,
St. Peter?
isn't he the one at the gate that reads from a list?
I mean, according
Is
to a
he the
whole bunch of
bouncer?
jokes, he is, but
Is it just a made up thing?
So there's the guy.
I think
all right.
a lot of it is. I
Okay.
mean, of course, it's all made up things.
Well, yeah, of course.
But I mean, some of it is made up later than others.
Is that a made up thing?
Well, I mean, it's made up, but so this is just as valid as arguing, who's responsible for maintaining the warp coils on the Enterprise.
Yes.
That's what I always say about this stuff. The answer is Radamanthys, Minos, and Iacos, who are the 3 demigod ministers of Hades. Oh wait, wrong mythology.
wrong pantheon.
So I've gone to of course the definitive source, which is Wikipedia.
Yes.
Right.
What's the article?
The Pearly Gates.
Okay.
The Pearly Gates is an informal name for the gateway to heaven, according to some Christian denominations. So already you're dealing with Christianity, so there's going to be different takes on this depending who
say
you
anything about it, right?
It's inspired by the description of New Jerusalem in Revelation 21:21.
Okay.
The 12 gates were 12 pearls, each gate being made from a single pearl.
I'm sorry, which book again?
The Pearly Gate Revelations.
Revelation. Okay, so the Christian mythos, not just the Jewish mythos.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you have to distinguish because a lot of times, like the Old Testament will say something, and then the Christians will take that and run with it and say a bunch of Christian bullshit that the Jews didn't think.
The pearly gates are guarded by Saint Peter, the keeper of the keys to the kingdom. Those not fit to enter heaven are denied entrance at the gates. In some versions of this imagery, Peter looks up the deceased's name in a book before opening the gates. So you're asking who wrote that book?
The question is, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I guess 2 questions. First of all, how'd this story about Peter standing there come into be? And assuming that's what they think, who wrote the book that Peter is flipping through?
And how does
Santa
that work?
Claus?
How does that work?
Because Santa Claus knows who's been naughty and nice.
In a spiritual realm, how do you have physical objects? How does that work?
It's a spiritual book.
Is it printed on spiritual paper?
Yes.
Do they have spiritual printing presses, or is this handwritten?
I have to imagine
spiritual ink.
Oh, I would think it would be handwritten.
Do they use, like metal pen nibs or
spiritual handwritten?
I think it's
made
just
made from spiritual swans.
I mean, I think it's basically the same situation where like you're playing a virtual reality game or something and you have cheat codes. You just be like, hey, give me a book.
And the pearly gates are, of course, carved from a single giant pearl each, which means you've got all this extra pearl material lying around.
Right.
What do they do with that?
I don't know.
Is there like a dump where it's full of discarded pearl fragments?
It's either the gates are incredibly tiny or the pearls were incredibly huge.
I believe the implication is that they're big. But
okay.
on the other hand, you got angels dancing on the head of a pin. So how does that work?
It's a spiritual pin.
I think the fact that it's a non-physical location makes the virtual reality example be pretty apt. I mean, you can conjure or delete anything. You can be limited by your computer's physical memory, but you're not limited by space because you can always just zoom out or scale out a little more,
or scale in and dance. On the head of it.
Right. Exactly.
But though, so now not only do we have to account for materials in a spiritual realm, right, which is weird and not often talked about. That's worth a little. That's worth a little analysis. But then also this scaling issue. Does everybody who's in the spiritual realm get to scale themselves up and down to whatever volume they wish?
I don't know.
Is it a thing that comes with
Honey,
the wings?
I Shrunk the Angels?
Well, what that passage seems to indicate is that there are souls wandering around outside heaven.
Well,
trying to get in.
That is
and
kind of weird because that means they're time gated.
No, you can't get in. Or
he denies entrance, but the implication
you have to wait
is
your turn.
I don't know.
The implication is that if you're denied entrance because of your name not being in the book, that then you immediately go to the bad place.
Right, but that sort of indicates that you don't go up and stand in front of the throne of the God character, and he judges you and stuff. It's all been shunted off to a bureaucracy that produces this book.
So what you want to do, and what you want to do is, when you're dead, right?
Yeah.
You want to shrink down to like microscopic size relative to the book and bring along some spiritual ink with you and then write your own name in it. Well, while Peter's on a completely different page, right? Reading off some dude's name, you can be inserting yourself like
Or
just
you
between
could,
two other lines.
You know, you could be like, "Hey, Peter, there's a gas leak over in Sector 12."
Denis Loubet, your name does not appear. Oh, wait. Somebody has scribbled you into the margin. All right, go on in.
Is there someone else I can talk to?
I mean, assuming it can just be conjured up, I mean, presumably they think the book is authoritative, and assuming we don't just want to get into like some circular situation where Peter just decides what the names are. I mean,
Perhaps
God is supposed to be omniscient and omnipresent,
and
so,
outside of time, as
so
they all
I
insist.
suppose
so it's like he could have written it at the beginning of time, and Peter just has
But
it.
if he can do all that, then why did what role does Peter perform?
He's the bouncer.
Yeah, he reads from the book and he bounces you.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
try
dumbest
and
job
I
when you
know,
think about it.
it's super lame. I wonder if he has sunglasses.
He
on
reads
and
what
Sounds very
he
boring.
reads off what the computer says.
stuff. Yeah.
Look, I have one job in this afterlife.
Yeah,
it's
it's what I
stupid,
do.
but I'm gonna do it.
The whole time. It's eternal. He has to do this forever.
Yeah.
The bouncer eternal.
So okay. So suppose you get two guys with the same name.
Yeah.
Then what?
I don't know.
I mean, how does he distinguish between this John Frederick Smith and the next John Frederick Smith?
Everybody has a unique numerical ID assigned. Adam is 1, and Eve is 2.
Oh, wait, that would be the number of the beast.
Yeah, you can't be numbering
that.
everyone because that's the bad thing.
Maybe it's DNA.
Well, I'm just saying, as
I know
a
how it has to be.
database developer, that's what you should
That's
do.
what you should do. Okay.
Is there an index? I mean, the book has to the book has to be big
There
enough.
must be a lot of indexes because it's
Yeah.
got to be searchable on multiple columns.
Has Peter just got really good eyesight and it's all tiny print, or is it a gigantic book, or is it a magical book where there's really? Is it like an ebook where there's really only one page and
if it's an
opens it up,
ebook, he can simply do a search. and
Somebody
that's great.
somebody walks up to him
He
and
does a
then he
search.
touches the page and then the name either appears right there or it doesn't.
Oh, could
How
be
about
that. Yeah,
you're designing the
sure.
interface now?
Right.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
but again, see, if there's John Frederick Smith, how you not only have to distinguish between two John Frederick Smiths,
Yeah.
you have to just distinguish between every single John Frederick Smith who might exist at any point in history ever.
Which is probably
Yeah.
a few of them, yeah.
Yeah. So how?
Well, there's a question.
So I think
there's
the way it
another
has to
question.
be, that if it's written at the outside of time,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So it's all predestined. Then it can simply be an order of arrival.
Right.
So it
An
just
omniscient
is your
character
name.
would know when somebody would show up and ask.
You walk up and he goes, Lindsay Martin Stevens. Yes. How did you know? Well, you're the next name in the book. So I was it's been like predestined since before time began that I was going to be the next guy? Yes. So what chance did I have?
It's like, so you knew I was going to be run over by a sausage truck?
Yes. You
Yes.
didn't warn me?
He didn't warn me.
Dude, I'm stuck here at this gate for all eternity. Stop arguing with me or I'll cross your name out of the book. Does he have the power to do that?
I don't know.
What if or at that point, is it like you're in or not and you can just do whatever you want to?
Yeah. And all this huge book just to resolve one question, and it has two possibilities. Yeah. You go in,
All right.
you stay out.
So it's a
But
bunch of binary
if you're,
bits.
If you're not allowed in,
Yeah.
what do you do then?
You go to the bad place. That's how it's always depicted.
Why? I would just hang around the gate. It seems pretty nice.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Let me think about
The way
this.
it's always depicted.
So I'm giving an upper limit of, let's say, 1 trillion to the total number of people who have lived on Earth so far. That's pretty generous, right?
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Let's see. So you need 1 bit as a binary value for each of them, and then you need enough storage. I mean, you'd have variable name size
between them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. There's a flag of saved or not saved.
Right.
Single flag.
And then, some names could be as short as, let's say, 10 or 15 characters, but then like you've got you need the extended character set because you're going to have people with Turkish names.
Yeah,
and then what's the longest name anybody has? Is there a world record on that?
I don't know. I think there is, but
Johan
I don't know what it is.
Gambleputty.
Yes. That's
Devon Osverstollen Slit Kraskren.
Do you think he was saved?
Dangle Dongle.
But
I used to have that memorized.
you only need to store the names of people who are saved, so that saves some space.
Yeah.
because
That's true. That's true.
Then
if
the
you're not
question
in
is,
the
what's
book-
the percentage?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
The percentage of people that get in?
Yeah, how many people? Like, is it half?
Oh,
or is it?
right. We
isn't
don't
it-
know.
Now, isn't it the...
It could be like 5 names.
I'm not remembering the name of this group, but there's a group that actually put
I think Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah,
maybe?
I think that's it. They actually said a specific number.
Was it like 144?
People? No, it was
like
bigger than that.
Hundreds.
It was like a gross.
Yeah,
It was
hundreds
gross
of
or
thousands.
something.
It was
something.
7, Dennis.
Don't know, man.
Right. So
had
now,
some
if they're
formula,
right,
yeah.
this didn't need
Then the
to
book
be
is like one
it's a-
page.
It's a
I mean, come on.
pamphlet.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good point.
144,000.
Yeah,
144,000, which is that's
okay.
easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because but then Peter's job is basically sitting there going, no.
Yes, it is.
I mean, 144,000 out of 1 trillion, or 100 billion, and like.
But here's another thing.
One in 1 million gets
But
in.
here's another thing. If the list, whatever it is, was established before the start of time, so that and they knew like the order in which people were going to arrive, so that it could be just the names of the people in sequence. So Peter doesn't have to be paging back and forth. Right. Is that a Stevens with 2 N's?
It's Dr. Horrible, HO 2 R's.
Yeah. If that's all true, then they don't need a guy, right?
For real.
Because the gate, I mean, they could just have the gate either open or not open.
Yeah.
But you're
as
missing
required
something.
by, in time over
They
the
could
arrival
replace
of people.
St. Peter with automation. Yes.
So he's just doing... Yes, St. Peter ought to totally lose his job to a machine because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but coal miners. Yeah, I mean,
What?
we
What about-
preserve
wait,
jobs just for the sake of preserving jobs. That's
right.
Also, don't
really?
forget.
Oh,
don't
really?
forget
So you're
that,
suggesting
like
you're
a big-
suggesting that St. Peter is on some kind of handout
Yeah, sure.
from heaven just to keep him employed.
yeah,
Shouldn't
to
he-
keep the heaven unemployment rate low.
Well, in that case, why just one guy? Because that's incredibly inefficient. They could divide, humanity into, a different guy for each letter of the alphabet,
Sure.
right? It's like find your line, and that plus all the special characters would have to have their lines, right,
Yeah.
for the different languages. Like all the umlaut U guys go to one particular place.
Yeah.
And they could involve they could
So this is
employ dozens of people.
Gone way beyond my question.
I don't know. Did we derail this from your original intent,
But
or
it's
is this
awesome.
exactly
no,
what
this
you
is
wanted?
exactly the kind of nonsense I wanted to go into. This is awesome.
Also, maybe you're forgetting one thing, that maybe there's like a little observation room. People can come, bring popcorn, and watch all the sinners get cast down into hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I think heaven. I think we've established before that heaven isn't above a little sadistic entertainment,
Right,
At the
right.
expense of the sinners.
But I didn't hear anything about getting cast down into hell. So it was like, well, they could put up a tent city around the entrance to heaven.
Kronk, pull the lever.
in some versions of this,
If he says no, a big trap door opens up.
Catholicism used to have limbo, right? Didn't they get rid of limbo?
Yeah.
Was it that they got rid of limbo,
That's
or
right,
they
limbo is gone.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So for a
we
while,
covered it on this show.
Wait,
for a
what was the
while-
other place? There was limbo and there was
purgatory.
purgatory. That's it.
Do they still have purgatory?
Yeah, it's a great place to ski.
So purgatory. Purgatory is
Colorado.
where you're gonna hang
Look it up.
So there's a timestamp by each name, apparently. Right? It says, or some kind of special, maybe an asterisk.
Yeah.
That if it appears by your name, then you can go to the place where it's like a giant timeout.
Right.
So you can get in, but you're gonna have to wait over there for 547 years.
Or
Sure.
here's a sadistic way to do it. You die, you appear, you go to the gates,
Yeah.
and you realize, well, I can ask him and be sent to one place or the other, or I can just sort of hang around the entrance
And not ask.
and not ask.
But then it's like
And
if
then
you
it's
then it's
like that's
the
a
thing,
sadistic way to do it. 'cause-
and that's the sadistic thing you can do in like a drive-through at McDonald's, man. You can like place your order and then drive off. It throws them in. It would. Well, I'm not claiming that I know this from experience, but it's obvious that it would throw them into conniptions, right?
Yeah.
Because you ordered the 3 cheeseburgers and the
Yeah,
small
that
strawberry
would
shake.
suck.
No. Then what do they do?
The nonprofits does not condone
No,
this
don't
behavior.
do- don't
do
this.
anything like that.
So, yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah.
Which you should
But
totally.
it means you
I
can
guess you
hang
should
around
totally,
the entrance and not
if
be
you
tortured
think
by
you're-
demons in hell.
But if you
which
think
is
you're
great.
not going to get in,
Yeah.
that is a thing you should do. Just
Right.
step out of
Just
line.
don't-
Except,
don't
I'm
ask.
sorry, they got you because they knew before the time began that you would do that.
Of course.
So no matter how long you mill around before you get back in line, right? God already knew that, man. And so the order of the book is still going to be correct.
Yeah.
That
But
doesn't help.
you spent all that time not being tortured by demons in hell.
Oh yeah,
It's
sure.
a plus.
Yeah. Unless the way that they know that is they've employed a vast number of other spears, the
Yeah.
flaming sword,
of
angels
course-
with flaming swords, standing alongside the line, making sure nobody gets out.
And of course, it only works if you never ask.
Yeah.
Because if you ever ask, then it's an infinite amount of time being tortured by demons in hell. So it really doesn't matter how long you avoid it. You're there for the duration no matter what.
All right.
All right. Anyway.
Anyway, have
Any
we
more
beaten this
news?
topic
I've got a
enough
news.
to death?
I've got a news.
I've got a bit.
Okay, go for it.
It's Russell's
It's
turn.
Russell's
man.
turn. Yes, go for it.
The usual bit we do now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Really? What bit would that be?
it would be
Oh my gosh.
shit. Internet apologists say.
Cool. Wow.
Nice
That
recovery.
That was a particularly reverby one.
Yeah, sorry,
I like
I didn't give good warning on that one, but we've been busy.
Okay.
I've apparently had this one sitting around since I tweeted it myself last November.
You're not an internet apologist.
This is old news?
This isn't news. This is
shit.
off the shit.
Oh,
Internet
oh, oh,
apologists
oh.
say backlog.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Ah.
Yeah. Yes?
This comes from thefederalist.com.
Oh, no.
And it's got so from October 31st, 2016,
Yeah.
and the title is How Denying Infant Baptism Leads to Leftist Politics.
The hell?
Okay.
Seems a little apropos since we're talking about who's saved. And so we got baptism.
Sure.
Consider this a follow-up
I
to
thought
an
federalism was like some kind of right-wing political position.
probably, and that means it is loaded with religious zealots, almost as as a foregone conclusion, right?
Okay.
Do you want to know more about the Federalist?
Hell yeah.
Let's see.
No.
Latest-
Actually, no. I don't want to know more about the Federalists. I want to know what they have to say about baptismism.
All right. How does it lead to federal?
Yeah.
Okay. Consider this a follow-up to an essay I wrote last year leading up to Reformation Day, October 31st, and entitled How Denying Christ's Body and Blood Leads to Progressive Politics. You may actually want to just go back to that one from 2015.
If you deny like Christianity, then you're not required to like accept all of the pronouncements of the religion without question. And that means you can like think of good, practical, alternate answers to things instead of just doing what we told you to do. And that is liberalism. There, is that pretty much the article?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
I'm sorry. I was not trying to undermine your entire segment.
All right, then that was shit. Internet Apologists Saaaaay.
No, but seriously,
I don't actually know. So he starts off saying the very notion that Christian debates over sacraments can have anything to do with modern politics sounds laughable. I beg to differ. No, it doesn't sound laughable at all. It sounds like the essence of Christian debates.
Yeah.
Especially given these realities. 1, non-sacramental church bodies tend to comprise the religious right. What? This is like interdenominational squabbling that I don't care about, so I'm going to start skimming. I think what he's worried about is that, like, Catholics, maybe, I'm going to assume he's anti-Catholic, are causing people to become liberal, or else he's poking at Catholics by accusing them of being liberal.
But I thought
that's what I'm guessing.
But Catholics are totally into baptizing things.
Well, baptism is a thing Baptists do, right? I mean, that's
Catholics
a major.
Baptize?
Do they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's what happens in those big churches, man.
I don't know.
Yes. The difference is in like the way that they do it, right? I don't think Catholics are the ones that have like the big tub where they dunk your entire body. But,
Right. They just sprinkle.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's totally a thing in Catholicism.
But from his subtitle that I didn't read, he's even calling out certain evangelical Christians who apparently aren't strict enough about making people baptize their kids as infants.
That's what religion is all about, creating different...
I just want to know. I want to know
brands.
how this guy accounts for the fact that my parents were religious, and I have had that.
Were you baptized?
Religious? Yes, I've had that stupid religious ritual done to me. How does he account for me?
Well, I would say baptism is a necessary but not sufficient condition.
I'm not asking you. I want to know what he says.
I'm going to guess he would not have a problem saying that.
Is this me jumping ahead on your story again?
I don't know yet. I have barely read it. I've read what I've read to you.
Go ahead.
The issue boils down to what Christ and his church are. The historic confession answered this question corporally. Oh, I'm sorry. This question is the section header. What is Christ and what is the church?
Oh, my God.
Boy, I am
Christ?
bored already.
Man.
As far as the church is concerned, if one were to ask, is Christ present in the church? The answer would be yes, of course he is. But here's where two paths historically part ways. Some conclude if Jesus is present in the church, it must be in the flesh, once done and forever continued, right?
What?
I don't know. It's some
He
kind
thinks
of...
Jesus actually shows up physically in a church?
I don't know.
That's what he's just described. What the hell?
This is the sacramental...
If that's what he believes, then it's great because it never happens.
Yeah. And others reject any idea that Christ remains present in the church corporally. I guess he's in the first group.
Yeah.
But the problem with this latter position is its premise denies something explicitly written in St. John's first letter. Bible quotes, Bible quotes, Bible quotes.
Right.
Right, Dennis. See, here's the thing: if there's something in the Bible that implies that Jesus is there sitting in the pew in your church, then you have to agree with that. Is what this guy is saying, and that has nothing to do with the evidence of your senses. It has to do with you, giving uncritical consent to whatever it is. It sounds like the Bible is saying.
Right. I mean, I gotta say, one of the reasons I'm
this is way less interesting than analyzing how you would do the information management
what is the book of life.
Book of life.
This is a problem I've always kind of had with religious discussions. Like, to me, religion is super interesting as a sociological issue, like figuring out what people believe and how they came to those beliefs and all the wacky varieties is fascinating. But then when you get into the details of the specific fan fiction that one group has and, arguing over Kirk versus Picard God.
Yeah, but
that's when I start falling asleep.
I can be mildly interested in who's in charge of the warp coils on the Enterprise. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
I can be casually interested. Okay.
Right.
But
could Thor beat the Hulk?
Is Jesus in the pews physically? No. The answer is no. What are you talking about? Because it's because they're not treating it as the interesting intellectual exercise of fiction that it is. Yeah. When it's an interesting exercise of fiction, it can be interesting. When it's claims about things happening in the physical world, they're either true or not true, dude.
Mm-hmm. Well, fiction has to make sense. Otherwise, it's not very interesting to read.
Not necessarily. I mean,
it's not necessary. But if it doesn't, people are dissatisfied with your fiction. But boy, religion doesn't have to make any kind of sense.
There are actually things considered classic works of fiction that makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, the Bible makes no sense. And let's see. Okay. Surely we can get to a point. Okay, here's a header. How infant baptism fits in.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
This is why infant baptism is such a bellwether for how people understand Christ and his church and the nature of Christ's kingdom on earth.
Okay.
Let's put it this way. Imagine a grandma and her infant grandson. Now imagine situation 1. Grandma has died before the infant grandson was born. If grandson is to have any relationship with grandma, it will be at best an internal phenomenon, an act of the mind, will, and emotions. It will be memories based on stories. Of course, he'll have no such experiences until his mind develops, but in the end, grandma will be a phantasm generated by the stories and memories of others.
Okay.
Now imagine situation 2. Grandma lives and holds her infant grandson in her arms. Of these two situations, which one is a more real and intimate connection between grandma and grandson?
Well,
so,
duh.
Jesus is grandma? This is a metaphor, right?
It's a metaphor?
Okay, the same is true in the church. If Christ is present in the church, and he is, and if Christ is in the flesh, which he is, then the church is truly the body of Christ.
Oh my God!
I have no idea what these terms
so
mean.
to speak.
Wow.
This is the lamest thing that ever.
Yeah. Well,
gentlemen, it is I, Pope Francis.
Your Holiness, how are you?
Hello.
Can you explain this?
Jeff has handed me his this microphone. I just wanted to step in and give you the inside information on this question of who's in charge of maintaining the warp coils.
Oh, I can't wait
upon the Enterprise. Some say.
Oh, good.
Some say. First of all, of course, we have to explain the context. We are talking about original Star Trek and not Enterprise and we're not talking about Next Generation. We are talking the
the original series. And some say it must be Scotty, because of course we know Scotty so well. He's a major character, and he says he's always talking about what the warp engines can handle and what they cannot. Yes, you've with me so far. Well,
Yes.
But and the others say no. Scotty has an entire department. He's a department head. If you've read the Star Trek Technical Manual, you can tell by looking at his insignia that he has people working under him, and then of course they must be the ones who are responsible for maintaining the warp coils. We've even seen episodes where he berates his inferiors for things that they have done wrong.
Thank you.
That's perfect.
I had no
Thank you.
idea Pope Francis was such an aficionado, let's say.
I think where he was going with that is that we must conclude that Scotty is ultimately responsible, because as the
He is the
department head, it
department
does
head.
fall to him whether he is actually hands-on with the warp coils or not.
Right.
Look, everybody knows that the warp coils are powered by midichlorians.
Oh my gosh! Oh, you're going to get us in so much trouble. So
This is just going to go on for a while, so
to
I'm
say
just going to
something.
read some highlights and not try to follow the logic anymore, because
No.
you mean you're not going to try to find the logic? You
if
can't follow it if you don't even pick up a thing that is the beginning of a logical argument.
there is none. If a baby were brought onto Noah's Ark, would it have been saved? Of course it would have. Christ and his church are like the Ark.
What?
Yeah, I have no idea what he's trying to say. At best I can puzzle out is he's treating metaphor as reality, and so he's insisting that people use the metaphor of that the church is physically Jesus's body,
I guess.
because then you're in physical contact with
When you're in the
Jesus'
church.
love, which is better than only knowing about him from a distance. And so you gotta use the metaphor as if it was physical reality,
Right.
which is just nuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then he gets to liberals a little later. Simply put,
Oh, right. I forgot. This is about
this
where
whole
liberals
liberal
come
thing.
from.
simply put, they believe a changed self must change society. Making society conform to the new law is the urgent project of a truly sanctified self. But more importantly, for our concerns, it must occur if the self is. Oh wait, no, this is him he's talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever. If human consciousness in the Middle Ages required a clergy and church structure with sacraments, dogmas, and whatnot, in order to communicate good things, Martin Luther's Reformation signaled an end to that age and the coming of a new age of individualism. Is this individualism good or bad?
Boy, I cannot follow the logic from the start of the sentence to the end. I lose it
Scrolling.
multiple times.
Progressivism in America.
Oh, thank goodness.
In his words, in the words of Paul Klepner from The Cross of Culture, 1970, the pietistic perspective emphasizes a personal, vital, and fervent faith in a transcendental God. While believing the world
This is a
simple-
guy. I'm convinced. He's convinced me. This is a guy who actually is really into this shit.
Yeah.
Right. He's not a guy. He's not a guy who's going, oh, there's people that are like pro baptism, and I'm gonna make some money off of them.
Yeah.
Right. This guy
Some
is
of these
into
people
it.
really believe the bullshit they're
He's
peddling.
like a Bible nerd.
The pietistic perspective tended toward republicanism, good, I guess, whose driving crusades were abolitionism, women's suffrage, and temperance. Wait, okay, that must be the old pre-slavery republicanism,
Yes.
because women's suffrage is bad, right, guys? And abolitionism is bad, or is it? I don't know where he's coming from.
What year?
I'm lost.
What year did this come out?
What the?
You said last year.
2016, yeah.
Yeah, 2016.
Right? That's Wow. Okay.
But before the
I'm
election,
going to vote that
if
this guy be
matters.
done.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip to the last sentence and then
Sure.
he's done. Sacramental church bodies might do well to think twice before chasing every latest evangelical or progressive trend like lost puppies and recall their theological grounding. And that was Peter
Wow.
M. Burfiend, a campus pastor at the University of Toledo and the single worst rated person on ratemyprofessor.com, I bet.
Yeah.
Wow. Did he put a picture of himself up there? Does it happen to identify who's in that picture?
I don't think that's him, but I mean, I can find a picture
I'm
of
just
him.
curious. It's probably
But- oh
clip art.
no, yeah. Oh boy, this guy looks like
Oh boy, man.
this guy looks like half a dozen characters from Full Metal Jacket.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
He's
angry army grunts.
Yeah. It's a crew cut guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
kinda heavy
that
set
was
for
that
that
was that was deeply weird.
Yeah.
I have a news story.
Yeah.
Creationist Ken Hamm blames atheists and fake news for failing Ark Encounter theme park.
Okay. So Russell and I discussed this a moment before the show.
Oh, yeah.
And there seemed to be some question whether this could be traced back to a reputable source. Can it?
Oh.
Actually, well, okay, this is from Raw Story, which is not a deliberately fake news source, but it's also on the scale of sensationalistic, it's pretty sensationalistic.
Does it have a link back to an original source?
good question.
For the claim.
There were multiple stories about Ken Hamm this week, and one of them was on Newsflow, which is definitely a deliberately fake news site. Link to Alternet, which is maybe better, but it's still like a left-wing opinion site. A local news outlet reports. The Lexington Herald Leader says, lots of local flavor text in this one. This is a Kentucky newspaper.
Right.
Well, look for quotes from Ken Hamm in it.
Yep.
So we're trying to get to the bottom of this. While Russell's doing that.
Yeah.
Dennis,
Sorry,
you wanna-
I didn't mean to step on your.
Well, I think it's worth in this world
Yeah.
of fake news.
I've been trying
it's
to
worth-
track it down.
It's worth getting to the bottom, but I don't think we should both of you doing it.
yeah.
Dennis, do you want to try to track it down to a sourced quote?
Well, no. Oh.
I mean, where is Hamm supposed
If you want to kill
have
time
said
on
this?
that, I got more for.
No,
us
what
to
I-
discuss.
He
What
wants a quote from Hamm?
Look, guys. Don't you think that's our journalistic integrity requires
sure.
that we try to establish whether that guy actually said this?
Yes.
Okay, so but I don't think both of you should do it. Otherwise, I'm sitting here talking
Right.
to myself.
Well,
I guess
We
we
can
can talk
go
to the
back
Pope
to
if you
the.
want me to.
We can go back to the Vatican actually because. Oh,
Thank you,
yeah, Dennis,
Look at
go
the
look it
chat.
up.
thank you.
Oh,
So,
the chat.
Yeah.
But George Pell, who I
What?
believe.
No, you're going on to another news story. Don't do
Well,
that.
I am because
We just
I thought
got
we
the
were.
answer to the question. Now we're back to Dennis's story. So, Dennis,
so
we have gotten we have reason to believe this is a sourced quote. So go ahead.
all right.
I've got the page open from Ken Hamm.
Okay.
Great.
And what does it say?
Recently, a number of articles in the mainstream media on blogs and on well-known secularist group websites have attempted to spread propaganda to brainwash the public into thinking our Ark Encounter attraction is a dismal failure. Sadly, they're influencing business investors and others in such a negative way that they may prevent Grant County, Kentucky from achieving the economic recovery that its officials and residents have been seeking.
There he goes. He just said that. He blames atheists for it.
What?
Well, he blames
Specifically.
a well-known secularist group website. So that's good enough.
Okay.
In one sense, such negative, misleading, and outright false reporting doesn't worry me. As Christians, we know we will receive opposition like this, and after 40 years in Bible-upholding ministry, I've become used to such antics by those who oppose us.
Yeah.
Yes. So the quote, the reason why there's these news stories is supposedly he said atheists were praying. That is what we're trying to establish.
No, it was not part of this story. That was part of the one that I said was definitely fake. That one was a joke.
What is it? What is the thrust of the news story you brought us, Dennis?
That Ken Hamm blames atheists and fake news for failing Ark Encounter theme park.
According to...
Now, he's saying it's not failing, but that these attacks by atheists are making it fail.
Okay.
So it's like, make up your mind, Ken.
Okay.
I think the actual answer is
the thing that
answers in the Ark Park is raking in a fairly decent amount of money, but the town is balking because the alleged economic boom that was going to happen, like none of it has benefited them.
Yeah.
I mean, he took the money, he did everything tax free, he went into private business mode, and now he's whining that people are going to talking about taking away his tax exempt status, and B, all this negative publicity is maybe hurting it, but so they're still running.
The thing that you and I discussed momentarily before the start of the show, Russell, was the claim that has been circulated that Ken Hamm said atheists had prayed for the failure of his ark, and that's why it was having trouble.
Well, that's a different story. You want me to read that?
I heard that one.
All right. So that's why when Dennis started reading this one, I thought that's what we were on.
Yeah.
And I just think if that is not true, if he did not say that, that is a thing we should take a moment to debunk.
Okay.
All right. Instead of just saying, "Oh, that's not this news story," and moving on.
Well,
that I have encountered that claim multiple times on Facebook.
I haven't encountered it at all.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's why you're puzzled, but it is in fact a thing.
Oh, okay.
There's
praying atheists.
We have reason to believe that the claim that Ken Hamm said atheist prayers defeated Christian prayers isn't a thing. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. There is a entirely fake quote on this site where Ken Hamm says, "As a matter of fact, I'm even aware of many cases of atheists praying for my project to fail, believe it or not. I mean, are you aware of the kind of hatred it takes to make someone who hates God get down on their knees and pray to him?"
Jeez.
And I mean, this gives me an opportunity to go into a standard rant about how much I despise websites that try to be the Onion, but barely do anything more than slightly tweak something that isn't in the news and add a bunch of phony quotes to it on purpose.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I despise them.
Very well.
So then back to the actual news that his park is not doing well and he's blaming secularists. Mission accomplished. Okay, good for us.
In his statement, he's doing both. He's saying, "Oh, the Ark Park's raking it in," but the mean old atheists are making it fail. So it's like, all right.
Right. Okay.
He can somehow have it both ways.
Yeah.
So, Russell, do you have any?
We're down to 2 minutes.
Are we down to 2 minutes?
Wow.
My goodness. Time flies when we don't read listener mail. No. I'm sorry. I apologize for no listener mail. If I had gotten started in my task, I probably would have resolved the email situation on my machine and brought it in, which is my responsibility. And we'll be back with listener mail in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and because I feel bad because I didn't credit a single story today to the people who submitted it.
Well, you
I
got
wanna-
a minute and a half to do it.
I want to mention thanks a lot to Chris Carr, Linz Allen, and Michael Asbury for all the news you submitted. And also over on Twitter, the always reliable Skeptic Mom always posts something. And we got something this week from several things from RNSB. They were great stories. We just had too much.
I want to throw in just a comment about a news story we didn't cover here, and we're not going to have time to do it. But Cardinal Pell in Australia, Tim mentioned the fine song about him and his involvement in a child rape scandal down there, has been charged.
Good.
Yes.
So
That's a step.
yeah, and. It's important that we hold these people accountable.
Yep.
So good for them. All right, I guess we'll say that's it. Thanks everybody. Dennis, take us out.
All right. Shows are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the entertained. And whenever any form of entertainment is concluded, it must, of its very nature, return with another episode in 2 weeks, on the 19th of July. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the permission of Brian Steeksma, we leave you with I Am the Satellite.
Hey there, brother, don't you know the guy upstairs left us years ago? So there ain't no fate except the one you make, and there ain't no hell except the shit you take every day. So don't tell me life doesn't hurt, and that you don't need the people cause you've got your church. You gotta take your head out of the sky, because there ain't nothing there